Yeah, everybody. So that is Steel Magnolias from 1989, and I loved seeing all the messages of people saying this is my grandma's favorite movie. We rent it on VHS every weekend, or my mom and I watch this, or just a movie that I think the women, especially in your family, probably have a special connection to. And what's amazing is the funeral shot, the funeral scene, which is really the pinnacle. It's the scene that really brings everything into focus. And you see these women who we have been with for the last hour and a half, and they have come together for a really terrible, tragic occasion. And Sally Field goes through she's one of the greatest. Sally Field is one of the greatest, and she goes through every emotion in that scene. And then the way that her gals come in to make her laugh again, and it is truly laughing through the tears. And the idea that as heartbroken as you can be, as terrible as life can be, you can still find the laughter, and you can still find life goes on, life goes on. And what's amazing is that allegedly they did that scene in one take, which is just unbelievable. Like, Sally Field, the first time, if they did it for rehearsal, or if that was in fact the one take, just fucking nailed it. Sally Field, I mean, all the actresses are incredible, but Sally has that, as I said, she has that specific ability to just quickly shift from one big emotion to another, while also you can feel below the surface that she's about to explode. Like it's Mrs. Doubtfire. The iconic when she's like, the whole time, where she says it 3 different ways. You are fully on the ride with her, and it's so real. It's so real how also she's expressing the insanity of grief. Where she's like, I feel crazy. I feel crazy, because that's the thing, is like, grief like this does make you feel, it can make you feel insane. Like, you're insane with grief and you just don't know what to do with it. And people, try to make you feel better, and they try to say the right words, but there are no right words. And you just feel like you're going to snap, and you're angry. That's the thing. It's like, people think of grief as sadness, but there's a lot of anger there too. Yeah, like, she's feeling so violent, like you just want the world to hurt as much as you. Yeah, like you just want something to feel the way that you are feeling, and nothing makes sense. And you're just like, I can't, how am I supposed to keep going? How am I supposed to keep going? Yeah, when she was screaming, why? And it's so like, that's the reality of grief, and these just profound emotions that are so confusing and overwhelming. And yet this is something that connects us. Like, this film is so connective, not just in the women who make up the heart of this film, but also in the people who watch it. And just to feel so connected to something like that, where this is why film is so awesome, because it can make you feel so seen. It can make you, things are expressed, are depicted, that we deal with every day in our lives. Crying, laughing, and yelling at the same time. It's a crazy feeling, but it's legit what happens with loss. Mm-hmm. And it's so powerful, because women are supposed to turn their grief inward, but it always comes out. Yes. And when she goes to walk away, she's like, okay, all right, that's fine. Let's go. Like, she starts to, she's there, but then she's like, nope, it's fine. Oh, my hair. And then she remembers what Shelby had joked about with the football helmet, and it just sends her spiraling again. And when she screams, "I'm fine." Oh my God, you just feel that. You just feel that shriek and it becomes so real. And I think that's the thing too with grief. It's like you'll have these moments where you feel like you're out of body, like you're watching a movie of your own life and then you drop back into the reality and you're like, I cannot believe this is happening. It's like disbelief that this is something that you are experiencing. Daddy Fat Sack NYC, thank you for the 3 months. So yeah, this film has so many iconic scenes and there is so much comedy in it. There's so many great lines of dialogue, so many great buttons on the ends of scenes. But there's also a lot of there's a lot of grief too. And I think it's life, it's, you don't have one without the other. You don't have love without also loss, without then the feelings of such deep sadness and such deep grief. But then on the other hand, you feel, it's two sides of the coin. And that is why life is so precious and there is meaning to it. And anyway, what I want to say too is that it's complicated. It's complicated between Shelby and Emlyn because Shelby's been sick for so long and it has prevented her from living a full life. When her mom says that line at her funeral, she's like, she could never run. She could never run. Like this was her whole life. And so she's grown up now and she doesn't want this to control her life anymore. And her mother, who loves her so much, has always been very overbearing, controlling because she, it comes from a place of love. And Shelby makes the decision to live on her terms and do what she wants to do. And this is somebody who chose to work in the nursing profession and specifically with babies. And she says, yes, I'd rather have 30 minutes of wonderful than a lifetime of nothing. So her mother has to learn to respect and honor what her daughter wants. She has to be okay with her daughter making her own decisions because she's not a child anymore. And as difficult as it is to see her child suffering, and she's suffered her entire, she's been sick for so long, she also doesn't want to deny her daughter happiness, so it's complicated. It's very, very complicated. Keep in mind, pregnancy is high risk. Yes, Shelby's like, look, other women have to, have experienced high risk pregnancies. And she's like, it's not the same. It's not the same. But she's like, it's still my choice. And that's ultimately like her mother. Emlyn's love has to be strong enough that she loves her daughter enough to let her make her own decisions. We watched this movie in AP Bio. Why? Because of the diabetes aspect that your teacher chooses as a teaching moment. So what happens with Shelby is that she has this kidney transplant and at first it's successful, but then unfortunately she develops complications, which happens. And those, she already had very, very brittle health. And because of all the strain on her body, it eventually led to kidney failure. And so the family together had to make the decision to take her off life support because she was not going to wake up. The movie somewhat doesn't really, well, okay. So the Jacks, let me say too, this is a movie about women. First and foremost, is a movie about women. There are men, they do have their husbands and their sons. And what I do love is that this is not a battle of the sexes type film, which is why I think people don't really classify this in the chick flick genre, because chick flicks is kind of like the women versus men, because they're men they support one another. When it comes time for it, they stand with one another, where the men are not super present because this is a film about the relationships between these 6 core women. And I think that is something that is so true of a lot of heterosexual relationships, is like women have bonds with other women that are some of the deepest, most powerful bonds on this planet. And sometimes it's like the men are there, but they still have loving marriages as depicted in the film, not perfect by any means. And the men are like half the time shooting off these guns with one another. But Jackson is, I know a lot of people wanted to be like, fuck Jackson. Shelby made her decisions. This was not something that Jackson forced on her. The movie is making it clear that she is the one who's deciding and she has agency. So don't take away her agency and her autonomy by placing the blame. And she had tried to talk him out of she tried to talk him out of marrying. She's like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? Because knowing that she wouldn't live a very long life. Like, even if she hadn't gotten pregnant, her diabetes was so intense. And again, this is before more modern diabetes treatments. So she was like, I am out the door, one way or another. So I think but again, this is not a film that spends too much time on the relationships between the women and men, or the relationships of the men, because as I said, the focus is on the women, but you still get enough sprinkled in there. Dolly's relationship with her husband, of course, Weezer and Clary, who are just one of the best duos ever to hit the screens. And I love that they are at a place in their lives where they don't have men anymore. One of their husbands died. The other one married the 2 worst men on the face of the planet. So yeah, I think it's a really important film because it shows that even when women do have male partners, when they have men in their lives don't revolve around their men, which for a film in the 80s and for having, not just this many female characters, but really strong, dynamic women. So uniquely characterized. And so, who each of these women are, and that they're not it's also not like women being pitted against women because there's just simply too many women and that's how it has to be. Even when they gossip, even when they kind of, talk shit on each other, it's still loving. It's still, in jest, and they tease, and it's that Southern type of, the just that Southern type of gossiping at the salon. So nice seeing different women at different stages in their lives, and they're all 3-dimensional characters. Yeah, and these are the women also work. Dolly is an independent business owner. She's got her salon. Anel, Anel is also such a funny character where it's like in the span of this film, just all the metamorphosis that she undergoes. And I'm sure this is not the last Anel stage. Like the next one is coming. Independent, but she's got a chain. Olympia Dukakis was fantastic. Loved her in Moonstruck. She's so fucking good. Olympia is such a delight to watch on screen. She has this kind of wicked sense of humor, but also is so warm. She's the type of person that you could spend hours laughing with. You're like, that is who I want to drink an iced tea on the porch with and just gab all day. What hours does Dolly work? Working 9 to 5. I haven't seen this movie before, so I thought Anel was going to be the main character. Well, you have the core six, and then you have the mother-daughter, the focus on the mother-daughter relationship between Shelby and Emlyn. So it's like the kind of the 6-woman circle, and then the 2 who are at the center of it. Movie def gave Golden Girl vibes. Oh, for sure. And I think too, it's like this movie had such an impact and continues to have such my eyes still hurt from crying. Yeah. But then you laugh too, you laugh through the tears. But this had such an impact because I think when people watch it, whether they watched it in 1989 or they're watching it in 2026, it's like you're crying for all the Shelbys in your own life, those that you loved, who you weep for you weep for the fact that life has inevitable tragedies and we all experience loss. And I think this is one of those films that you're kind of a fly on the wall, as I said, when you're in the scenes in the salon where they're just gabbing and gabbing and gabbing, and you really feel like you're kind of just observing these people's lives while also thinking about your own life, thinking about your own Shelbys or any of these women in this film who you can identify as like, your aunt or your grandma or just somebody who you're personally connected to. I heard he cried from a book today, so I had none left for the movie. You're like, I'm all cried out. Anel being Trudy's protege was so great. Love the so it's like love the relationship between the 6, the different dynamics, but then also the duos. Because yes, you have Anel and Trudy. You have Clary and Weezer. You have Shelby and Emlyn. So they have just these really great pairings. Thank you for showing this. I know my mom liked this film, but we never watched it together, so this was nice. There's also something about being alone and crying at a film and then being in an audience, whether you go see it in a theater or you see it here in chat. There's like a collectiveness in grieving with a group of people. Personally, as someone who held his grandfather's hand as he passed very recently, I'm choked that Jackson couldn't hold his wife's hand as she passed, but also I kind of get it, maybe feel a little bad for the men who internalize patriarchy so hard they can't cry in front of anyone. Well, I think going back to the title of the film, Steel Magnolias, and Emlyn has that line where she's like, I thought men were supposed to be made of steel. And Steel Magnolias, which describes the women. It describes the way that women endure so much, but are made of steel, while also it doesn't mean that they don't have a gentle, nurturing nature. That both of those things exist. And I think too, in the funeral scene, the men, they kind of glance over and see Emlyn, and it's the women who are like, we need to, let's form ranks. The women who, they go, no, we're not gonna leave her to her grief here, and we are going to hold one another up. Women always hold up everyone in the family in their lives. It's very much gendered emotional work that never gets thanked. And I think that's why they find that solace with each other. It's like the people who understand are their fellow women. Like that look that Weezer gives Emlyn when the pregnancy is announced. It's like grumpy Weezer, who every other word out of her mouth is an insult. When Drum announces, like, my daughter or Malin. Malin. Yeah, I'm sorry. I picture his it's Malin. When Drum announces the pregnancy and you see Sally Field just working in the back and how she's the only person who's not participating in the excitement, and Weezer looks at her and there's just so much that's communicated in that. And she says they said she shouldn't have kids, not that she can't. Yeah, she's like, hey, just this is what's going on here. I think it was very big of Sally Field's character to just thank Annelle for her babbling religious talk at the funeral instead of freaking out on her. She meant well, but it was not chill. Yeah, and I think too she recognized like Annelle is trying to help me in the way that she knows how to, and in the way that she thinks will help. Like she was trying. And that's the thing. Look, there are one reason that people are spiritual, that people are religious, is because it's something to hold on to when they are experiencing such an unfair tragedy, right? It's like life is not fair. Why? I keep asking myself, why? That's what Sally says. She's like, I keep saying, why? And I am not a religious person. And I would never, I would never deny somebody whatever, it is that they hold on to try and endure. To try to endure, After my dad died, I said that I never understood deeply religious people till then. Yes, I've had moments like that. I remember when my neighbor passed away, and he was so young, and it was in a car accident. He was in college, and it was one of the saddest funerals I've been to. Just, I can still picture it, and it was 15 years ago. And I remember too, in that moment, we were sitting in the church and it was just, everybody is just crying, and it was very quiet. And I remember thinking too, that for a moment, it's almost for a moment I let myself believe, because I just wanted some semblance of peace, or to know that my neighbor John was going to be okay. Like, just, even though I was like, no, this is not going to suddenly turn me Catholic again. But there was a comfort in just telling myself that he was okay. It's like I was a teenager and trying to deal with the fact that a kid that I grew up next to had died horrifically in a car accident, along with, I think it was two other of his friends. And so you're just trying to make sense while also knowing that it doesn't make sense. Yeah, so this movie, I think it has a magic to it, and it's got that nostalgia feel as well. The sweeping, uplifting, heartwarming orchestral music, an incredible cast, and excuse me, as I had explained, so Steel Magnolias followed a decade of very weepy type films, very prestigious weepy type films like Sophie's Choice, Terms of Endearment, Beaches. And it comes at the end of the 80s, at the end of the decade. And this was before films in the chick flick genre had really taken off, had exploded as a genre. And I think, sorry, I promise I'm not choked up. I don't know what's happening with my voice. Sorry, I'm going through a lot right now. And I think, yeah. And so what's so wonderful about this is like when you watch this film too, and you kind of transport back to that time period, it was like looking through the looking glass into what would come, and these multi-generational stories of women, these films that, yes, there are men, but the focus is on a core group of women. And I remember Joy Luck Club. I remember the first time I saw Joy Luck Club. And not only was it the first time that I had seen that really felt represented on screen, because there was not just one Asian woman, it was a whole bunch of Asian women. And I don't have an Asian mother like in Joy Luck Club, these Asian mothers and their Asian daughters. But I thought about my aunt, and I thought about my papa, and I thought about their relationship. And there are still things in Chinese culture, as watered down as it was in my family, being third generation and only half Chinese. It was still something that it was not just because it was a film about women and for women, but also specifically Asian women and the relationships between mothers and daughters. So just to think that like Steel Magnolias was really the beginning of this then explosion in the 90s of these types of films. And so that, you can absolutely attribute the influence and impact to Steel Magnolias. And I also think about films like Fried Green Tomatoes and then in the 2000s, Sister of the Traveling Pants, and then films like Joyride and Girls Trip and Book Club. And it's obviously gotten more, these stories are more diverse and actually, different cultures as well. But they all have in common that they are films that are geared towards women, because they depict the complexities of women's lives, and also these beautiful sometimes complicated relationships that they have with one another. I enjoyed Amy Tan books back in the day because various Asian backgrounds can relate. The diversity of experiences, but also the universal emotions. Yes. So this film, Steel Magnolias, is one that has a white cast, and it's specifically Southern, mostly well-to-do white women. But I do think the enduring power of a film like this is that it does cross cultures. It is one that you don't have to be a Southern white woman to connect to this film, to feel emotionally connected, and to just find all the joy in it. I picked Joy Luck Club to watch on a plane last summer. I declined the headphones as a kid when they played on a plane forever in the early 90s. I watched it for nostalgia of that time. It was great. Yeah, Joy Luck Club will always have a special place in my heart. Let me show you the trailer for Steel Magnolias with Queen Latifah. I'm an Arab man and I enjoyed it. There you go. And that's why I always try and remind people not to close themselves off from work that they might think on the surface they won't enjoy, like they won't find anything that they can connect with, because these emotions are universal. It doesn't matter if you are from a different culture or if you have like just a very different looking lived experience, but this is the connective power of art. And it's beautiful. Okay, I want the trailer. Steel Magnolias 2012 trailer. Here we go.
I'm not crazy. I just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. The sanctuary look like it's been hosed down in Pepto-Bismol.
I like pink. Pink is my signature color.
Oh my God, it's not supposed to be this way.
So this is the Lifetime version. This is the Lifetime remake of Steel Magnolias, and it's the same premise. So 6 women who live in Louisiana gather at Truvy's beauty salon for their daily dose of female bonding, and they discuss everything from life to hair and nails.
I want to know why.
Excuse me, put some respect on Lifetime. Yours truly did a Lifetime movie. Okay, it was called Nanny Killer. So put some respect on Lifetime.
Nobody cries alone in my presence. Company policy.
Ooh, wait. That door.
Came to win, to fight, to come and Clary.
A little Rihanna.
Truvy, who the hell are you? Anel. That's it? Like Beyonce?
What's wrong? I'm 2 months pregnant. I know that you want me to be happy. What makes me happy is having this baby.
Right. Diabetics have healthy babies all the time.
This is one of those times. I can feel it in my bones.
You put my money on those bones. That which does not kill us makes us stronger.
Oh, well, you know what they say. If you can't say something nice about somebody, come stand next to me.
Now listen, now, there's no such thing as natural beauty.
I love that the 1989 Steel Magnolias is such a stacked cast. 4 Oscar winners, like some of the greatest working actresses at that time. And then in 2012, the remake of Steel Magnolias also like some of the Black actress icons of the 21st century.
This is it. I'm in hell.
Morning breeze.
Don't try to get on my good side. I no longer have one.
I need to know the budget of this.
Can't tell what's going
Let me
on on
see.
the insides, but your hair is holding up beautifully.
I'm so mad I don't want to hit somebody. Here.
It's not disclosed.
Crazy?
I just wanted her to be happy.
They don't know how lucky we are.
I know how lucky I am.
Things happen. You get through and life goes on.
Life goes on.
I have a strict philosophy that I've stuck with for 15 years. My ladies,
50K for protection, and then the rest
they
is
only
for
get
cash.
the best.
Well, luckily we watched the original film because that shows you. So there's no spoilers from having watched the trailer. Steel Magnolias, the 1989 version, was, I think, a $15 million budget, and it ended up grossing around 100. So it was commercially successful. The critics were torn on it, but I do think that there was a frequently critics, because they were all male, they were all usually old white men, would have a certain would behave in a certain way with films that were for women, where you had a majority woman cast, the focus being on these women's lives and their relationships. So it's one of those that I think I'm not surprised that there were quite a few critics in 1989 who thought the film was just overly melodramatic, and they just thought it was kind of ridiculous. And again, too, this is after like the very prestigious Weepies, where they're like, if a woman's going to be crying, it's because she needs to be having to make the choice between which child she's choosing to keep and which child is going to die, AKA Sophie's Choice. It's like, if I'm going to watch a woman be emotional and cry on screen, it has to be that. It has to be something as specific as Sophie having to make the choice of which child survives. But Roger Ebert, even though a lot of times older films that Roger Ebert didn't like, which are actually iconic as fuck, and therefore a lot of times I disagree with him. Sometimes he was also one of the few major critics who was opposite of a lot of other critics, but in a good way.
Steel Magnolia is based on the successful stage play about 6 Southern women who like to gossip and hang out at the beauty parlor, but who are maybe just a little bit tougher than they look. The casting makes up an intriguing roll call of interesting actresses, and you can see most of them in this scene.
Like, this is the type of film that from the get-go, a lot of male critics in this era would never have even given a chance. Like, they came in with very strong biases, and we're already, like, it's like they want a film like this to confirm their bias, to fulfill their prejudices, and so from the start are negative about it.
Shirley MacLaine quizzes Daryl Hannah about her marital status.
Roger
while Dolly
Ebert
Parton,
did like Bring
Olympia
It On.
Dukakis, Sally Field, and Julia Roberts try to eavesdrop on every word.
Are you married or not? These are not difficult questions.
Well, I can't talk about it.
Of course you can.
The heart of the movie involves the mother-daughter relationship between Sally Field and Julia Roberts, who has serious diabetes and could risk her life by getting pregnant.
Mama, I don't know why you have to make everything so difficult.
So the video's so
I look at
crunchy.
having this baby as the opportunity of a lifetime. Sure, there may be risk involved. That's true for anybody. But you get through it and life goes on.
MacLaine has some of the best scenes in the movie as a crotchety local woman who always seems to be in a bad
Roger Ebert saying, describing Shirley MacLaine's Weezer as a crotchety local woman.
mood.
I managed in a few decades to marry the 2 most worthless men in the universe, and then proceeded to have the 3 most ungrateful children
and
ever
what about
conceived. The only reason people are nice to me is because I have more money than God.
I like the scenes involving Dolly Parton and Daryl Hannah as an older woman who knows everything about beauty shops and a younger woman who looks like she needs one.
I'm a beautician. Glamour technician.
It's like Daryl Hannah is so fucking gorgeous no matter how they try to make her look.
Glamour technician.
Steel Magnolia is just kind of a sneaky movie. It starts out as a comedy with wall-to-wall one-liners, and then eventually a serious theme emerges as the newlywed daughter has complications resulting from diabetes and pregnancy. Now, I could never really believe that all of these women could be so effortlessly funny and sarcastic and have perfect timing and always say the right thing exactly on cue, like Southern belles doing stand-up, but I didn't mind because it was fun listening to them.
Like, listen to what he's, listen.
From diabetes and pregnancy. Now, I could never really believe that all of these women could be so effortlessly funny and sarcastic and have...
Mind you, 4 Oscar winners in the cast. Now, Julia Roberts had not yet won her Oscar, but 4 Oscar winners in this incredible cast. And also, yeah, these are legendary professional actors.
Perfect timing and always say the right thing exactly on cue, like Southern belles doing stand-up, but I didn't mind because it was fun listening to them. The final scenes of the movie are intended
He's
to...
like, you know what? Didn't think that they could make me laugh or really do anything because women, but I didn't mind. I liked listening to them. I thought they were pretty good.
...be tearjerkers, and they do work, especially a couple of heartfelt speeches by Daryl Hannah and Sally Field. And I think this movie's secret ambition is to be a little like Terms of...
No, he's talking about the characters in the film, but what I'm pointing out is, like, Sally Field could take the worst fucking dialogue in the world and deliver an Oscar-winning speech. Like, you have some of the greatest... These characters are very well written, and they have some really great lines of dialogue. But even if it was schlockier, and even if it was cheesier and... the writing wasn't as good. Those actresses are some of the greatest to do it. Yeah, Sally did the Flying Nun and made it work. They can make. No, he literally said it's like Southern Belles doing stand-up.
Dearman. Well, it's not anywhere near that good, but it is entertaining, and it sure does have a lot of quotable dialogue.
My criticisms are exactly the ones that you said, only I feel them more strongly, and I don't recommend the picture. I think it is Southern Belles doing stand-up, except that the centerpiece of this film, unlike Terms of Endearment, where the disease that Deborah Winger contracted was sort of an add-on and wasn't really critical to the beauty of that story or to the relationships depicted.
Oh,
Here,
I disagree with your entire interpretation of Terms of Endearment.
Wait a second.
Go ahead.
Is you could remove that and you would have interesting people in Terms of Endearment. I'll deal with you on that. You could remove it, okay?
Oh, well, that
it didn't have to happen, okay? Here, what happened medically has to happen because it's really the guts of the story, the way it's constructed. I never saw it on stage. I'm saying, as a film, it is the back half of this whole movie, and that is unfortunate because it's so apparent what's going to happen. It's so well foreshadowed that everything
like the self-meeting
manufactured. And so I see manufactured comedy followed by
It is a manufactured movie. It's a manipulative movie. All I'm saying is that, first of all, it has 6 really good actresses who are really good individually and with each other, and they're given some really witty dialogue. For example, Dolly Parton saying that one of the things that sets us apart from the animals is our ability to accessorize. Now, that's a funny line, and there are other funny lines in the movie. And so I enjoyed it on that level, while at the same time agreeing with a lot of, in a sense, we saw the same movie. It's just that I liked it more than you did because I liked what was there. You didn't like the fact
there, right?
Well, then we didn't see the same movie.
No.
Okay.
Don't try and find a middle ground here. I wouldn't recommend this picture to a friend. I thought that there were individual moments by a couple. Dolly Parton, I think, hit everything perfectly.
Well, let me.
She hit everything perfectly, but then Shirley MacLaine is trotted out as a curmudgeon all the time.
She's fine. She's fine. She's wonderful.
No. But she's a wonderful actress.
She's fine. She's fine.
She's good at this movie.
I cannot believe that Siskel is trying to say anything about Shirley MacLaine.
What I was reminded of as I saw this movie was the fact that Dolly Parton, who has been used rarely in the movies and sometimes completely wrongly, like in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, is a wonderful movie comedian. I wish we saw her 2-3 times a year.
I know that at Oscar time, Sally Field is going to get an Oscar nomination because she has the most emotional role.
No, actually, she didn't, though. So Siskel was very wrong. The person who got nominated was Julia Roberts. That's the only nomination this film got. TriStar also distributed Glory this same year, and Glory won a couple of Glory was like their Oscar film. And then the film that won Best Picture was Driving Miss Daisy.
I'll tell you, the best performance in the picture I thought was Dolly Parton's. I think she is a special talent, and it's good to see her used that way. No, not so much for the film. I didn't care for it.
I think
it's so funny because they don't know Southern women like I know every woman in that film. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough year. It's a really tough year because it was also the year that My Left Foot came out. And let me look at the 1990 Best Supporting Actress nominations, because Brenda Fricker won for My Left Foot, and then the other nominees were Julia Roberts for Steel Magnolias, Diane Wiest for Parenthood, Lena Olin for Enemies: A Love Story, and Angelica Houston also for Enemies: A Love Story. Your what? My Left Foot. Yes, My Left Foot. So Brenda won for that. I mean, I'm trying to think of who I would bump for Sally Field. You know what? It's tough. In that case, I'd be like, maybe we do 6 this year. Yeah, I mean, Julia does such a beautiful job in the film too. I don't want to take away from her performance because I really think that she does, especially so the scene where she gets her hair cut. I think people thought she was crying because she hated the cut. She's like, "Oh my God, you made me look you made me look like a Karen, but she's crying because the scenes in the salon, it's like this, kind of this magical, frivolous time stops outside when the ladies are in the salon and they're gossiping and they're getting their hair done. But it also is a barometer for what's happening in real life. And I think for Shelby, it's her growing up, it's like there was her pre-motherhood and there's her now post-motherhood, and she gets a haircut that's just easier to, it's more sensible. It's easier to handle because now she's got a lot more that she has to take care of. And so she decided to cut her hair short, and kind of get the like mother cut, the classic chop representing I'm a mom. It's the mom cut. It's also a thing of when you become a certain age in the South of getting that haircut. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot happening in that moment, and Julia she just does such beautiful work there. And then the foreshadowing of the first scene in the salon when she's experiencing a very low blood sugar drop from her diabetes. And it's also her health draining. And so I think it's like her looking in the mirror, maybe seeing her mom, but also knowing that most likely she's not going to live to be her mom's age. She's having surgery in the morning. So there's a lot happening, both this transitional period of her life and also the recognizing that she's not going to get to be a mom for her whole life because she's sick. So it's a lot going on. My mom got it too after she had me. Oh yeah, my mom got the mom cut. It looked very slay on her. I know. And then when she looks at her mom, when she starts to cry and Dolly's like, "Oh no, you hate it. You hate it." And she looks at her mama. It's like, even though she's a mama now, she's an adult now, she still looks at her mama. She just looks exactly only at her and like, I need you. It's kind of like when people shave their head when they start losing hair. Yeah, there's just a lot that our hair can reflect. All the emotions that we carry in all up here. And yeah, so I just think that the kind of juxtaposition of the salon scenes and then the scenes outside of the salon. And it is like the salon, that is the women's place. That is their sacred place. That is where they talk about everything, where they can escape, but also deal with hard stuff, but in a safe, special place. My mom had a cunty bob and still does. That's what Sam's prediction for me. Also, I worked in salons for about a decade. Lots of women cry after a big chop like that. Even if you love it, it just brings up emotions you're not expecting. We would always try to prepare people so they wouldn't feel embarrassed. I bet they think they're the only one who does it. You're like, it happens all the time. When you change internally cutting or just changing something externally represents that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anywho, I just think this is one of those classics. It's one of those good old classics that continues to endure, has had a major cultural legacy and impact. And I think the message of the message of through life's highs and lows, we continue to endure is one that's universal. And also that connections with other people in this life, having community, having people to fall, a soft place to fall, and also people who will be there in the good times and the bad times. We get by with a little help from our friends. I would have never heard or watched this without you, so thank you. You are welcome. Yeah, this is one of those, like, if you've seen it, it's probably tied to your childhood in one way or another. Like I said, grandma, aunties, moms. If my mom watched this, she kept it to herself. She's like, this is for me. You're not in this. This is for mother and mother alone. So if you've seen this, you've probably seen it a lot of times, and it has a special place in your heart. Or it's one that you get to see a little piece of film history here. TCM had this movie on repetition during Mother's Day in October. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why when I was thinking about what do I want to watch for Mother's Day, and I was kind of looking at all the options, I was like, you know what? How about a classic? How about Steel Magnolias? Plus any opportunity to watch a Dolly Parton film. You know we're watching. This was on my watch list for a while. Yay! I never watched it with my mom, but I know she liked it, and watching it made me feel closer to her, even though she's passed. And I know that sometimes movies can be too much, depending on what you've gone through, but also sometimes it can make you feel connected in a way that you didn't know was possible. Like, I think when I showed After Sun, obviously there's a lot of emotional stuff in that, and for some people it might be too much, but for others, yeah, there might be a catharsis to it. It might make you feel less alone in your grief, and there is a beauty to collectively grieving, and there's a strength to be found in that, so that you remember that you aren't alone, and even though that pain is so personal, it's also one that we all share. We all across this planet share in the dichotomy of life's emotions. Every time I feel happy, I watch After Sun passages, happiness and shame. Like, also, it feels good to let it out. When you watch that scene in After Sun of him in the club, that shit hits. That hits. It does, because crying is cathartic. And sometimes when there's a lot of stuff happening in the real world, even though it maybe sounds crazy to call these types of films an escape, it's like it can take everything that you are feeling in your life and release it through watching a film, through consuming art. I can't even listen to Under Pressure anymore in public. I know it hits, right? It just hits. Movies give us a safe proxy to process things. Yep. Never watched the movie till today. I wish I had seen it earlier in my life. While I could talk about it with some of the women in my life who have now passed, but my sister, mom, and I still watch The Little Women or Practical Magic anytime the chance comes up. Yeah, and even if this isn't one that you necessarily watched with the women in your life, I think it can still help you feel connected to them. I never watched this movie with my mom, but watching this movie, I think I was thinking about my mom. You know, I was thinking about my aunt who we just found out received a pretty bad health diagnosis, and that's why I said, you know, when you watch this, you cry for Shelby and you cry for her mother, but you cry for all the Shelbys in your own life, all the inevitabilities of the tragedies of life, but also the joyous moments, you know? Thank you. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, that's the power in it. It's like this isn't something that I necessarily grew up watching with my family members, but I still feel connected to the women in my family from watching it. My mom had the same haircut when she had me and died in a similar way. So this movie hits hard, but was so sweet to watch. Glad I procrastinated watching it till now. Yeah, and I know Mother's Day is not easy for everyone. I know that not everyone has a mother, or not everyone has, even if their mother is still alive, has a relationship with their mother. I know that everybody's situation is different, and yet I still stand by that watching these types of films in a community, that there's a strength to that. And I hope you feel less alone. You know, I hope this day that I think can bring a lot of emotions for people, some that are not so great, some not so positive. That you can get through it. Mother's Day is the perfect day to start playing Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Sending love to all the queer chatters here with complicated relationships with their mothers. Yes, to people whose mothers have passed, people who have very complicated relationships with their mothers. Even if you have a relationship with your mother, it doesn't mean that it's not complicated. And yeah, to all the women out there who serve in the role of mother, even if it's not to people that they necessarily gave birth to, you know, in the biological sense, but still, you know, have been there in a guiding way. Like you, oh well. I try what I can. I try what I can. Mothering is a verb. That is true. All right, y'all. That's going to be it for me. I'm not going to game tonight, but I will be back tomorrow, and I will be live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I go out of town Thursday, and I will be gone the whole weekend. So I will get some good streams in the next couple of days. Gaming Frogs, you got like 10,000 hours of that goddamn gambling game. I think it broke me. I'm like, I can never game again. Melly, thank you, Melly. That's very sweet of you. Thank you for the five gifteds. You got to play mixtape. I think I will. Yeah, I'm going to take a quick little break from Red Dead. But yeah, I'll be back. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm sorry, I have to end with this song. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Every time it's brought up, I'm like, Yeah, I think I need to listen to it. Emotional terrorist, add it to the list. Add it to the list of terms that I am called. Okay. Down. I should have saved this for Father's Day. That's so true. I should have played Steel Magnolias for Mother's Day and After Sun for Father's Day. Good night, everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
People on